Hello everyone, good evening. So I hope everyone is doing great. So in last class we learned how we can perform multiple operations on page list. Okay. So and today we are going to learn how we can create the unit test cases in Pega. So many folks were asking to have a video on this one, and this is one of the important topics nowadays because we should always we should make a practice. So this unit test cases is there from last 3 or 4 years. If I didn't remember exactly from from which version Pega have added this one. Okay, but still I can see that in many places people are not creating this unit test cases rule. Okay, so we should try to create a test case rule as much as we can. Okay, and so today we are going to see we'll create unit test cases for these 5 rules. Okay, so I'm not sure so we are going to create for database, report definitions, data transform rule, when rule, and decision rules. So these are the rules which we use very frequently. Okay, and Pega supports the unit test cases for these ones. Okay, so that is where I'm going to show for these ones, but there are like other rules also. For that we can create the unit test cases. Okay, so let's go ahead and start that. Okay, from in Pega. Okay, so to create that unit test cases, first we need a rule set version. Okay, rule set. Okay, which just contain the unit test cases. Okay, so in your applications rule set we cannot create unit test cases. So let's say okay, we have our application. So this is my POC application. So in that one, so let's say my applications rule set is insurance, so I can just say insurance test case, something like that. I can create that. Okay, so this is the first things which we need to do. And yes, we want to update our applications, and let's create. Okay, so unit test cases got created. Now what we need to do, in category we have to go and we need to select this one, use this to store the test cases. Otherwise what will happen when you try to save a rule set, it won't save. Okay, so this is mandatory to save the rule set. Now test case, this rule set will be only used for saving the test cases, and sometimes you will get in your CSA exams as well if you are a very beginner. Okay, to save a test cases, what is mandatory, so you need to select this, use this rule set to store the test cases. Okay, so now we are done. Okay, for the rule set, so we'll be using that rule set to create the test cases. So let's see if it has been updated applications. Yeah, so Pega have added on top. We can move it in the bottom also. Okay, wherever you want to keep it. So fine. Okay, now first if I go to my slide. Okay, the first rule which we are going to see is the data page. Okay, because nowadays we are creating a lot of data pages. Okay, and to avoid that warning, okay, obviously we can create the test cases. So let's just see that. So I have a data type, okay, employee, and in that one I have like three data transform employee list, and savable employee. So if I'll go here and open any one, so you can see that there is a warning, and this warning is saying that you should must create a test cases. You should create a test cases. Okay, so how we can do that? And for one rule we can create multiple test cases. Okay, so let's say I'll just show you one. So here I have a record like employee 1, then this is the name John Doe. Okay, and the salary is 100. Employee 2, so something like that. So I can run this one with multiple combinations. Okay, so let's say if I'm passing 1, okay, and then just saying run, so you can see that after that we got this result. Okay, so these are the results which is correct. Okay, and now it is asking me to convert to test cases. Okay, so from here only, and you should make a practice that the moment you are creating a rule and running for the first time, you should try to create a test cases. Okay, at that time only, so that you will not miss it. So now if I'll say convert to test cases, then it will go here, and here what all things we need to add. So you can see that parameter automatically this got added. Why it got added is because the rule was expecting one parameter. You can see that. Okay, so this rule itself is expecting one parameter, so test case is also expecting one parameter. Okay, and now we need to add the here the assertion type. Okay, so expected result we need to add. So here it's taking this. Here also we can add that. Okay, how much time it should take, or what could be the result count. Okay, so these things also we can add it here. Okay, but I'll leave it like that. Let me just refresh what it was there. Expected runtime. Okay, so I'll leave it like that, and here I can add that assertion. So if you need to click on add properties, okay, so whatever the result when we ran that, okay, the outcome of this is showing here, so we can add it from here. So let's say the employee ID is 1, then we can add is that the first name should be this one, something like that. So And so you can ask a question that what if I'll change the date, what if I'll change the first name of this employee, then my test case will fail. Yes, it will fail. Okay. So in that case, you need to keep updating. If your data is getting updated, then your test case will it has to be updated. Okay. So let me select done, and then we will save it. Okay. So while saving, we need to give that name, so we can give this only. So you can give a name, employee ID, d underscore employee ID ut1. Okay, so you can create as many as you want. So you can see that automatically this is the our rule set is coming. Okay, because this rule set accept the test cases. So let's submit it. Okay, and let's try to run this one. See, it is saying passed. Okay, but the expected time, we were expecting 06, but it took 0.7. So 0.007 it took, and we were expecting 6. Okay, so it's fine, it worked. Now what if I'll go here and change it? Okay, so instead of John, I'll say John 1. Okay, now if I'll execute, it will fail. See, it is failing because, and you can see the reason also, that what I'm expecting and what result is coming. See, here it's saying the first name is equal to John, but actual value is John 1. So if you see in our table, we have John 1. Okay, but what we have given in the assertion, okay, here, that the first name should be equal to John. Okay, so this is why it is failing. So whenever you are creating any test cases like this, okay, and if you are using the test data, right, so you need to, when you're if you're using any test database, that and the test data is getting updated very frequently, you need to update the test cases. Otherwise, when you will run the test cases later on, it will fail. Okay, or you can create a multiple scenario, or let's say if you don't want to fail, then you can do it like this also. So instead of this one, you can simply say that is not empty, means that first name should not be empty. So now if I'll run the same test case, it will pass. See, so you need to understand that what kind of a conditions you need to apply. So those things you need to do, but this is how we need to create the test cases. Now if I'll go here and save that, okay, the warning will go away. And if I'll go to test cases here, you can see that there is a test case, okay, and which is passed. Okay, so this is how we need to create the test cases for database. So we saw for this one for list type data page, sorry, this is the page type database. A similar way we can do for list as well. So let me show you one for list quickly. So this is the employee list, and now if I'll run, so it doesn't expect any parameters. If I'll run here and click on that, so you can see that we have the result count 6. Okay, so basically this is a list type database. So what we are expecting is that we should get some result. Okay, so it means our result should be greater than 0. So that conditions also we can put in our test cases. So let's see how we can do that. Convert to test case. Okay, and we'll copy again, and this time what we can add, okay, so we can simply add that px result count is 6, right? So at least we should be, like if you know that for this test case you should need minimum 6 result, okay, then you can add 6, or you can add, depending, as I'm saying, you can say that greater than or equal to 1. So it should be, result should be 1, or it should be greater than equal to 1. So now let's save this one, and again we can say ut1, something like that, whatever name you want to give. Now let's run this one. So this is failing. Okay, less than. Okay, so I made it less than. It should be greater than or equal to, because we are getting. So you can see that now you can see that how it is like working, right? So if you give the, this is the expected value, and if you are giving the expected wrong value, then it will fail. Now let's save and run it. So it passed, because yes, our value is correct. Okay, so our result is 6, and then px result count is 6, and then it's, yes, it's greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so this is how we need to do for data page. So I hope this will help you. And now if I'll again go and save this one also, so you can see that how it is looking good, right? So when the warning is going away, obviously this things is looking good. Now if I'll go, so similar things you can do for the report definitions as well. Okay, so report definitions, test cases are still, it's very similar. Okay, so let's say if I'll run here, so again this will also give that these many results. Okay, so here it's saying convert to test case. So when I ran that, we got a 6 result, right? But if you want to convert this test case, you can add like multiple conditions, whatever you want. Okay, so if you want to embed like any result, so that also you can do that. The px result whole, that px result should be this one. See, you can add the whole things. Okay, but ideally you don't have to do that one, because if you do that one, if you change any value, then you have to update a lot of things. But yes, you can add that. So if, like, see, if I say done, okay, and then run, then again this will also work. Data table editor report. So if I'll just say like this and save it. It will run, but the problem is what will happen. Okay, see, it's a failing because some of the attribute will get changed. Okay, so that is the problem. Save time, date time. So this attribute is getting updated, so it will fail. So better what we can do, we can have only one or two. Okay, so what we can do, let me remove. So we can say at least, let's say 2. Okay, let's see, this should work, and it should, see, it got passed. So you can see that, right? This is how you can do that. Or if you want, you can add it like this also, that px result count should be, you can do that same way, the way we did it for that database, that px result count is greater than or equal to 1. So see how it is simple, right? So just we need to create that. Now if I'll run again, it's saying passed, and if I'll go back again, save it. Okay, so the warning is gone, see, and again we'll come back to here, and it is looking nice that yes, we have created test cases. So ideally you should create minimum 1. Okay, but you can create for your negative scenario, you can create for positive scenario. And today we are just learning test cases. Okay, so these are the one small test cases we are creating for each rule. And like, let's say that this data page and this report definitions combined work as a one functionality, so we can combine the unit test cases as well, and we can create the suite of test cases as well. Okay, so that's how we can do. And where we can see these test cases, let's say if you want to see that what all test cases we have created and what is the result. Okay, so that we can see in application, quality, automated testing, and then unit testing and test cases. So if you see here, we can see that as of now we have created 3 test cases, and all is passed. So like, what will happen, why I am saying that if the value will change, it will create problem in future. Let's say that you develop this rule, and after a month if you're coming and trying to run this, okay, it may fail. Okay, so you can do like this. So it will see, it's trying to execute. So here we can see that 5 minutes, 3 minutes, a minutes ago. So it will execute now, and it will update it. So what will happen if the data has got changed? So it will not success. So this test cases can fail. Okay, so I don't know why it didn't got executed. It should, yeah. So 3 test cases run selected. So it's taking some time. Let's go and learn. So we, as of now, if you see, we learn for the data page and we learn for that report definition. Okay, so as of now we were adding a very simple things. Okay, just adding that the output expected results, and we are doing that. Okay, we have not added setup and cleanup. Okay, so that also we'll see. I'll just show you that how we can do setup and cleanup. Okay, cleanup, add a step. So in setup and cleanup, we can add the data transform, and that data transform can help you. Let's say if you want to remove the page, or if you want to add some data before, like, because in sometimes some rules what happens, some rule expects some value before executing that rule. Okay, so that you can do it in that you can do as a setup. So we will see that. Okay, we'll see in other rule type. So let's move to the next one. Okay, so the next one is the data transform, I believe. Let's see that. So we saw that for the data page, it's very easy how we can create a test case, and then we saw for the report definitions as well. Next, let's check that data transform. So let me close all those things. So here what I have done as of now, let me create just employee case type. I have a very basic employee case type. So here on this UI, what I'm doing, I'm searching employee. Okay, so here you can see that the first name and last name we are showing. So here for this one, I have created a data transform, and for that we are going to create the unit test cases. So this is the data transform, load employee. So what this is doing is just loading that taking that employee ID and loading that employee page. So it's just copying that. You can see that this is how we copy that. If you want to copy the whole things, so d underscore employee 1, and then it's taking employee ID. So this is a lookup data page, and taking employee ID and loading that the data, okay, for that employee. So let's run this one as well. So if I'll run and pass the value 1, so I'll see that. So you can see that the first name and last name must have came. See, John 1, okay, and then Doe, everything is there, employee ID is there, and salary is also there. So now if we want to create the test cases for this, we can do that in same way. So let's see, here we are getting an options, load employee. And here you can see that employee ID is already 1. If you want to change, so this is how you can do that. Okay, so if you want to do for that employee ID 2, that is how you can do that. And we can just say that employee ID and dot first name. Okay, so obviously we have changed the employee ID, so it will not match, so we can say that is not empty, something like that. That also we can do that. Now let's just save it. Okay, load employee and execute it. So this is working fine. Okay, so here we are passing this value as a parameter. But what if, okay, just assume that in this DT we are not passing parameter. Instead of parameter, we are assuming that this employee ID value is there on the work page. Okay, so let's say here I'll say top page. Okay, so the top page is that employee ID. Okay, so I'm assuming that this employee ID will come from the PY work page, okay, not through the parameter. So if you want to do that, let's say if I'll run this one, right, so it will fail, right? Let's see, it's not failing, but employee ID is coming blank. Okay, so then how we can create the test cases for this one? Because if I'll go and create the test cases, okay, it doesn't make sense. Let's see that. Okay, so it doesn't have any result. See, employee ID is nothing, it doesn't have any result. So what if you want to create a valid test cases for this scenario? Okay, so for that what we can do, we can do a data setup. So add setup, sorry, additional clipboard page, let me see that, create page. Here additional clipboard data we can, I think we can do. Okay, so add, and then here I'll create. So you can do in multiple ways. So create work object, create data object, load object. So you can do many things. I'll just apply a data transform. So I'll create a data transform. I'll say, okay, load employee UT data setup, something like that. I'll give a name. So load employee DS data setup, let's say. So I'll just create like this. Okay, and then create this, and here I'll set top dot employee ID. Okay, and then here I can set the value 1. Okay, and I need to define top, or let's see if it is saving. So it got saved. So now what will happen? Okay, and then we are saying is not empty. Sorry, this is that in this case. So we created the data setup. Okay, so basically what will happen before executing, before evaluating the result, what it will do. And now here we can see that. So here if you see that we don't have first name last name, right? So I can go ahead and add that. Okay, like this. So instead of px obj class, sorry, not here. So I'll do like this, add dot employee dot first name is not empty, and save it. So I'll say load employee with DS, load employee with DS data setup. Let's submit it and let's run it. So see, it is passed. Okay, if I see the view details, okay, it got passed. So you can think that like how it is working, because what we did, okay, if I'll not do, let's just think, I'll comment it. Okay, if I'll comment this step, then it will fail. Okay, so here what we are doing, before executing that rule, here in this one what we are expecting is that before coming to this rule, we should have that employee ID on top page. Okay, same thing is here also, it is happening before running this test cases. Okay, this load employee data setup, the rule will get called, and it will set that on top that employee ID. So now let me run and see what is happening. Okay, so see, it is failing, because what is happening, we are expecting that is not empty, but that value didn't find. Okay, because obviously it's not loading, because we are not passing any employee ID. Okay, but if I'll just enable again, then it will pass. So let me run again. See, it's passing. So let's revisit again, because this is very much important. Okay, so let's revisit again and understand the whole scenario. So the scenario is that we have a simple data transform, okay, where we are loading the employee details, and that database takes employee ID, and this employee ID is, so this rule is in there in data class. Okay, but the employee ID is there on the PY work page. So here I'm referring top dot employee ID. So my expectation is that I have already, before this rule, okay, I already have the employee ID on the PY work page. Now for this one, I want to create a unit test case. So when I'm trying to create the unit test cases, first I need to do is I need to create a data setup. Okay, and on that data setup, so you can go on setup, and here you can see that additional clipboard data. So same thing I'm saying, that I'm expecting, we are expecting that employee ID should be there on a top page before executing the load employee ID. So similarly here we are coming here additional clipboard data and creating a data transform, and in this one we are setting employee ID dot top dot employee ID equals to 1. So this is one very simple scenario for data setup, but in this way you can set out on any page. You can have a primary, PY walk page, or any page, okay, whatever the page your rule is using, or if you even if your rule is using templates, you can create a data setup like this and set the data beforehand. But again, okay, if you're doing like this, okay, and if the data is getting changed, expectations for the your rule data is getting changed, you need to update this rule as well. Okay, now after setting this rule, we are just executing the test cases and it is working. Okay, because obviously like what we have configured is simple expectations is that employee id dot first name is not empty. Okay, we can configure exact value also, okay, but whatever way, the way you want, you can do it. And you can see that this employee id is blank because we are not using that one. Okay, parameter we are not using, we are using in a different way. So this is for the data transform. So I showed you very simple one by parameter. Okay, you can see that, and then I showed you this employee id one also. Now let's say sometimes what happens that our data transform is just returning the parameter. Okay, so that also you can create that. So let's say here in the below, if I'll just employee param dot first name, param dot first name equals to employee dot first name. The third scenario, employee dot first name, and here for now I'll just let's say hard code that employee equals to 1. So if I'll run, okay, let me show you. So the first name will be, let me trace, so I don't have to pass because I have already hard coded. So if I'll show you in tracer, so we should see that. So the first name is John 1. Okay, so for now if I'll create this test cases, I can do like this also for this test case. Okay, let me go and convert to test case. So sometimes what happens, as I'm saying, right, that your rule is not returning any value, not setting, just is setting parameters. So we can create UT like this also. In expected value we can add param dot first name is not empty, okay, and then we can just save it, load employee param scenario, something like that, just give a name and submit it. Means this already exists. Why it's saying already exist? Some issue is happening here, it's not taking that name. Okay, so it got saved. Now let me run it. So you can see that this is also success. Okay, but if I'll just go here, okay, this test case, and if I'll just comment this one parameter, so obviously parameter will be blank, okay, because we are not setting, then this will fail. So you can see that we covered 3 scenario, okay, for the data transform. One is that without, like, we are passing some data as a parameter, we are passing some parameter and then executing, and then we are comparing the expected result. The second one we saw is that how we can load the data beforehand and then execute the rule based on that loaded data and then compare. And then third one we just saw that we can compare the in expected value, we can compare the parameter as well. So you can see that this one. Okay, so we covered these 3 scenario for data transform. There are many more, okay, but this is just where today we are learning. Okay, so we are covering the basics one. Now I'll go, the next one is that the when rule. Okay, so in when rule it is very simple. So I've already created a when rule, so I'll show you the use case. So here you can see that, okay, here I have added that salary also, but that is not visible. So if I just add 4 and click search, what is happening? Let me see. I think we have changed that rule, right? So I need to correct that rule to make that work. So let me remove this one, and here let me make that param dot employee id, because that is how it was working. Param dot employee id. Okay, so now let me go to E5 and search it. So you can see that salary is coming, but if I'll search with 2, okay, it won't come because I have created a simple when rule. Okay, let me show you when rule. So if I go to decision and when rule, when. So the simple when rule is show salary, and it's saying that salary is greater than, okay, 2, then it will only show. I think this is the one. Okay, if the salary is greater than 200, then it will show. So here you can see that when I'm searching with 2, okay, and in the table data type for the employee ID 2, our salary is just 200. So our rule is saying greater than 200. So if I'll search for 3, we should see the salary. Okay, so let me search for 3. So this is the when rule which we have created. Now I need to create the like test case for this as well. So let's see how we can do for this one as well. So simple. Okay, so if I'll run by default, right, so we are not passing any salary, so it's returning false. So let's go and convert the test case. So salary, so we can add multiple also. So if I'll say, let's say 400, then yes, obviously it should return true, because if it is 400, then it is greater than 200, so it should return false and true. So salary, and then one second, this is it's not taking by default here. So salary, let's submit it. So if I run, it will be a success, because obviously what we are saying, salary is greater than 200, then it run true. That is what the when rule is saying, right? So salary is greater than 200, and we are passing the value of salary is 400 here. You can see that. Okay, but what if you want to compare for multiple? Let's say you want to have for false scenario as well. So if I'm passing 200, then it should return false. Okay, let's run it. So then also it will be true. But if I say for 200 is true, okay, then it will be false, because obviously the second conditions won't match. So you see it's failing, because it will complain that 200 expected result is true, okay, actual result is false. So in expected we gave true, but ideally actual result is false. So see how it is easy, okay, to create the test case for when rule as well. Now let's go and just save this rule. We should see that test cases got linked to this one. Okay, and let's run it again so that we can see that pass. Okay, and if I come here and refresh, we can see that it passed. From here also we can run this test cases. I think some problem in my system, this is system is just taking time. Okay, but ideally you can run it from here. If you want to add, you can add it from here also, the new test cases. So it's not necessary that you need to create per rule only one test cases, but minimum you should try to create one. Okay, so if I go back to our slide, so we cover data page, we cover a report definition, okay, we cover data transform, when rule. So now let's see for decision table. So decision table is also very similar to when rule itself. Okay, so let's say I'm going to create a simple decision table. So decision table, return, let's say return salary by employee ID. So I'll be passing employee ID, and then we are expecting that we'll be getting salary, and this we can create in that same data class. Okay, so now I'll just add two columns, only one column, and then expected result. So let's say here I can give, okay, so I can give actual property also. So if I'm giving actual property, again in that kind of a scenario you need to set the value. Okay, data in the data setup, okay, you need to create a data transform where you need to set the data that this is the value, but here I'll be using just that param. So param dot employee ID, param dot employee ID, and then here I can say employee ID label, and then it will be equal only. Okay, no range. Okay, so if it is 1, then I'll say 100, and then we can add another for 2, 200. Okay, for 3, 300, otherwise 400. Okay, and then here I'll add that same parameter employee ID. Now let's see for this one also. Okay, so see, the moment we are creating a rule, we are getting a warning, and this is looking not looking good, right? Okay, so simply what we can do, we'll say run. Okay, so when we'll say run, so okay, so here it's saying, see, by default we are getting the value 400, because obviously we have not passed any employee ID, so it's coming like this. Run again, so each time it's coming this only 400. So let's convert to test case, this one here. So now here also we can see that by default it's coming 400. So let's just save this rule first, and then I'll show you. So first, in case of when rule and decision table, the one expected value is already added by Pega, and this is like a prefix. Just save it. So if I'll run, it will work because obviously we are not passing anything. Okay, so I can add multiple and say for 400. So if I'll do like this, it will fail. Let's just see that. So it is failing because for param.employee ID value 1, then mean it should be 100. Okay, so if I'll say 100, then it will be true. See 2. If I'll say for 200, okay, then also this will work. See, it's working. But if I'll say for 400, then it will fail because for 3 we are returning 300. See, it's a failing. So we covered all the things, okay, whatever I had written here, okay, for to create the test cases, data page, report definitions, data transform, vendor, and decision table. So I hope like this will help you, okay. So please try and let me know if it is not working for you. I can help you, okay, because you should know these things, test cases, and there are like many things is there. So we can combine these test cases and create a suite, and then that suite can be executed from your DevOps pipeline, okay. So yeah, and this will help obviously when you are like deploying your code each time, right? So whenever you're deploying, you can quickly execute. If you have the suite, okay, you can execute and see that like it's kind of, it will help in your regression, okay. So obviously you should make a habit to create these test cases. Okay, so that's it for today's sessions, okay. And if you're liking this video, please do subscribe my channel, okay. So okay, thank you very much, have a good day, bye.